Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, let's get ready to rumble! The older you get, the more you think about the past. I used to think my parents, all they did was live in the past. And now the older I get, the more I keep thinking about things from back in the day. And one thing I always set in my head, I don't even remember who ever told it, but when you assume something, you make an ass out of you and me. Now, that reminded me of what I've been thinking about a lot lately, making assumptions. You know, young black lady at work, she got a gold tooth here and short little thing. Well, she drives this really blinged out Jeep. Well, it turns out she likes to go mudding. I'd have never thought that about her. This guy I used to work with, he was stocking the shelves. He looked like he was straight up off a Kanye West video. Pants hanging, do-rag, dreads, gold teeth, the whole 9 yards. He's listening to music on his iPod. I said, what, you got some Tupac? You got some Biggie? What you got? Turns out, old boy was big in the classic Western. Now, some of you will not even, not Hank Williams Jr., Hank Williams Sr., okay? The Four Horsemen, Conway Twitty, the old original country, like Dolly Parton before she got big hooters. Even Dolly can't remember that far back. But it reminded me about a time I lived out in Parker's Chapel. I was young, barely into double digits, and it had iced and snowed in South Arkansas to the point there was just no traffic. Everything was covered in ice and snow. And we had family, kind of distant family, but they lived up in Alaska, and they were had flown down and landed in Little Rock, and even told them, hey, we're headed down to New Orleans. Well, you got to get through South Arkansas. There's nothing but ice and snow down there. And they're like, hey, we can handle this. We drive this stuff every day. Now, it took them a little bit longer because, the local constabulary is not really ready for that much ice and snow, at least back then. That was early, mid-'80s. They come to town, and about the time they come to town, we had just got done riding a four-wheeler and three-wheeler and stuff out on the ice and snow and doing a little sledding. We probably ain't been out there 30, 45 minutes, and we done shrugged our nug off. Now, you're talking about a guy that was straight up old school with it. I had my feet down in some old Wonder Bread bags, some socks over that, some waterproof hiking boots, a pair of thermal underwear over a pair of jeans, with a pair of sweatpants over that, Carhartt, waterproof, windproof, sex-proof coat, earmuffs on my ears, and, all this kind of stuff. And we done frozen our ass off. We're inside, standing by a nice roaring fire. My mother could not stand the cold in the least, and she's got the heat running, and a fire's crank. Well, our family comes down, and they ease into the parking lot out there in Parker's Chapel. They brought some teenagers with them, too old to hang out with me. Because God forbid you hang out with the younger kids. Anything more than 2 years, you're done. And they said, hey, we see the three-wheelers and four-wheelers outside. Can we go riding? And we're like, yeah, but dressed like you are. Now, let's start off with, they were wearing shorts, tank tops, t-shirts, flip-flops. And when they got out the car, when they opened the doors, no steam come out. They weren't shivering, even though you could see the heat just radiating off their bodies and the steam coming up. And they're just looking around. They're not sitting there doing all this and everything. No, they just get out and like, oh, okay, yeah, that's normal. My dad says, you want to borrow a coat or something? They're like, no, it's spring for us. We're good. They tore off on them. We had about a 10-gallon can of gasoline there, and they just about ran through that. Well, after about an hour or so, a couple of hours, we get a on the front door. It was a local Union County cop. Sir, I need to speak to Ray Pendleton. Sure. Behind them was the three-wheeler, the four-wheeler, and the guy sitting on it. Are these your three-wheelers and four-wheelers? Yeah. They say they know you and they got your permission to be on these utility vehicles. Yeah. Are they high? Are they on drugs? No. They're from Alaska. What the hell is that supposed to mean? See, he made the assumption, because it's too cold for us, and we're out there freezing our nug-nugs off and wearing our Carhartts and our thermals and our hoodies and Wonder Bread shoes and stuff like this. He assumed because it's too cold for us, it's too cold for them. But they had been blowing and going for over an hour, and they were pink head to toe. Had a little winter wind blown. They were just cheeks just rosy and their hair flowing. And they're even still sitting there wearing tank tops, t-shirts, shorts, flip-flops. Ain't phasing them. A little steam coming out. Like we did when we were kids, pretending we were smoking. But this cop assumed they were stolen. Kids were on drugs. Because they weren't acting how we were acting. They made an assumption. That day, he made an ass out of him. Because evidently, so did a bunch of our neighbors. They didn't know we had family coming in from Alaska. And they had called the police. And, yeah, man, there's some kids running around here. And they're wearing shorts and t-shirts and tank tops and flip-flops. And they're running around on three-wheeler and four-wheeler and doing donuts. Just like everybody else was. Except the cold wasn't phasing them. Because they had been born and raised in Alaska. Where this was normal. Where this was absolutely normal spring weather for them. Spring and fall. This is normal. This is how they dress. We made an assumption. They made an assumption. And I'm sitting there freezing my nug-nugs off an hour and a half later. I'm still sitting in front of the fireplace wrapped up in one of Grandma's old Afghans. And I'm still frozen. To warm up, I had to go take a hot shower, and I still didn't do it too well. But the key is, my neighbors, the police, everybody made an assumption. Kids thought it was hilarious. They told us we were wimps. Yeah, let them come back down here during an Arkansas summer where it's humid, where you can cut a slice of air. What I'm saying with all this, everybody knows I make these for my grandkids and my kids for one day. Don't make assumptions. Get to know somebody. Because outside that book, that may be the nastiest, ugliest book you've ever seen in your life. But there could be one of the world's greatest stories inside that book that you've never heard. You've never taken the time to get to know. That book, that nasty, ugly book, like, I got this old ugly book right here. Our Government, Arkansas. I got another ugly one right here. It's old, it's ugly. But my grandmother taught out of this book, so that means something to me, and I've read through it. And I learned the views of our Arkansas government back in the day when she was in her 20s. Has changed drastically. That old cookbook there, that's from a fish camp that don't even exist down anymore, down at Darbone. But it's got some of the best recipes. Before you make a judgment, don't walk a mile, don't walk a foot. You walk a lifetime in their shoes and just ask questions. Quit making an ass out of you, because you ain't going to make one out of me, because I have learned my lesson to quit assuming. Peace, love, and nacho grease. Keep the sunny side up, because that's the best way to drive. Catch y'all on the flip side, and all I want for Christmas, I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Catch you.